What are we gonna do with Dr. Oddcoitus?
I don't know, but we have to do something.
I say we euthanize him, hack him up, and scatter his remains.
Well, I can't keep him in my basement forever. It's either let him go, or kill him. I just don't understand how he's survived this coma for so long. I mean, where does all the poop go? Hello and welcome to Boots to Reboots. In 1985, Tom Holland wrote and directed his first film titled Fright Night, which is a classic horror film from the 80s and one of my favorite vampire films. In 2011, DreamWorks produced a remake starring Anton Yelchin, Colin Farrell, Mick Lovin, and Poots. So without further ado, let's see whether or not this remake disappoints.
It was made in 3D, so we're not off to a good start.
The remake begins with a family getting attacked by an unseen vampire. Damn it, Mom, this is no time to sleep! First off, I don't like quick, intense opening scenes like this with disposable characters dying. The original opened with our main characters doing what they typically do, make out and watch Fright Night. We learn a lot about the relationship in this opening scene.
I don't understand you. First you want to make love and then you don't.
Amy? Charlie? What's wrong?
Instead, the remake immediately opens with action and gore to hook the audience's attention.
I feel so manipulated.
Does anyone else notice that strange floating blood in the field? Both versions follow Charlie Brewster, whose life is about to be turned upside down.
By becoming the Prince of Bel-Air?
No, by his new neighbor. The original film was set in the suburbs of a small, relatable town in Iowa, but Hollywood producers probably can't locate Iowa on a map, so the remake now takes place in Las Vegas. The new Charlie is different from the original. In this version, he doesn't appear to be a big horror fan, and Evil Ed is no longer his best friend. Notice me. Instead, Charlie is a former nerd who ditched his loser friends to fit in with cool kids like Dave Franco.
You want me to go tell your pals how well we really know each other? The Lego contests, the Farscape conventions, the costumes?
Please stop.
Or how about that one time you took my Stretch Armstrong so you could tie it around your balls and jerk off for an hour?
Stop.
Note to self, search eBay for Stretch Armstrong. Evil Ed informs Charlie that several students have gone missing, including their friend Adam, aka Appetizer. Well, Charlie doesn't want to search Adam's house with his estranged friend, so what can Ed do? Blackmail him.
Hell, I have naked pictures of good Andy to blackmail him one day.
After school, Charlie's mother introduces him to the new neighbor, Jerry Danridge.
Now being played by a set of eyebrows with muscles.
You're just jealous.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Doesn't bother me. My mom was
Hey, Jerry
kinda...
does night construction on the strip.
Meaning he dresses up like a construction worker and strips. Later, while Charlie and Evil Ed are searching Adam's house for clues, Ed drops a pretty big bomb.
I really hate to be the one to tell you this, but that guy, your neighbor, yeah, he's a vampire, man.
Wait, we're doing this already?
Yeah, in the original, Charlie slowly becomes suspicious of his neighbor's activities and discovers for himself that Jerry is a vampire. In the remake, Evil Ed just kind of throws it out there. Goodbye, mystery and suspense. I'll miss you.
That is a terrible vampire name. Jerry?
I didn't name him, man. I'm just reporting the facts.
Vlad, Nosferatu, Dracula, Blackula, Angel, Grandpa, Maximilian, Barnabas, the Count, and so on. All that's really left is Jerry. Well, of course, Charlie thinks Ed is nuts, and they get into a fight over their strained friendship.
What the fuck happened to you? We were inseparable.
Yeah, well, you know when my life started to get better? When I stopped being friends with you.
They made new Charlie kind of a butthead.
On his way home, Ed is bullied by, not Dave Franco.
Why are you on my street, bro?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm really sorry about that.
You tracked your nerd juice all the way down it.
Evil Ed escapes only to bump into our vampire. Jerry manipulates Ed's emotions and tells him that he would actually enjoy life as a member of the undead.
Even your best friend, you're nothing to him now. No. You were born for this.
Honey, you really need to stop going into the pool when you're on your period. When Evil Ed is missing the next day, Charlie goes to his house and searches Ed's room. On his computer, Charlie finds a folder completely lacking subtlety.
It's kind of like the Vampire Diaries, but with more Jerry.
The folder contains videos shot by Ed and Adam discovering Jerry's secret.
That's it right there, Adam. He does not show up on the video.
Good thing he'll need that evidence to show the police. Or just go home. Whatever. Unlike the original Amy, who is nervous to have sex for the first time, the new Amy is kind of a...
Slut! Ugh, excuse me. A slut.
Before Charlie gets late, he's distracted when he sees Jerry with his other neighbor, Doris.
I'm gonna leave you to look out the window at the neighbors and have fun with your neighborhood watch thing.
Charlie is awakened by a scream and calls 911, but Jerry is able to charm the cops by acting like a macho douche.
Yeah, you bet she scream.
You bet I made her scream. Jeez.
Well, after Jerry leaves, Charlie decides to break into his house to find Doris.
Does Jerry not have the ghoul for a bodyguard anymore?
No, in the remake, Jerry simply locks his doors. Oh, don't tell me he has a fake rock with a spare key. How has he lived for 400 years? In the house, Charlie discovers secret rooms hidden behind Jerry's closet wall.
Hey, we should get one of those for Dr. Oddcoitus.
Doris is bitten, and on the way out, Jerry senses something out of place. Axe body spray. Charlie then tries to rescue Doris while Jerry is busy watching reality television.
That's the first thing you wear for Joe when you get your new boobies.
I want to get breast implants, but my husband, he's more of an ass guy. He's very happy with my boobies.
Huh. This new Jerry is kind of an idiot. However, Charlie does manage to get Doris out of the house.
I saved you.
Charlie then goes to the Las Vegas Strip to seek help from a magician.
A mind-blowing experience of the occult and supernatural.
Oh, kind of like Disneyland.
Why a magician? Is he gonna pull a rabbit out of Jerry's ass?
Sadly, no. 'Cause vampire movie, this magician is also a vampire expert. It's kind of like a party clown also being an exorcist. In the original, Peter Vincent was a horror movie actor and host of the TV program Fright Night. Tom Holland wrote the role as a homage to Peter Cushing and Vincent Price. In the original, Roddy McDowall, best known for the original Planet of the Apes series, played Peter Vincent. I like the character because he's washed up, being evicted from his apartment, and his show has been cancelled due to low ratings.
I have just been fired because nobody wants to see vampire killers anymore, or vampires either. Apparently all they want are demented madmen running around in ski masks, hacking up young virgins.
He refuses to help Charlie at first because Vincent thinks he's a crazy fan, but after Vincent discovers that Jerry is indeed a vampire, he refuses to help because he only played a vampire hunter in movies. I guess they felt they had to modernize the character and turn him into a silly-looking Chris Angel wannabe since creature feature hosts are old or something. Even though we still have Svengoolie.
And Elvira's boobs still look amazing.
In the remake, Peter Vincent is played by David Tennant, best known as the 10th Doctor from Doctor Who. Right away, he comes off as a pretentious ass and is a phony.
Is hair just supposed to come off like that?
It's okay, he probably has cancer.
He's rude, drunk,
looks like pee, but I'm hooked,
perverted,
I fucked up,
and British.
Russia's are fucking kidding me.
Well, Vincent doesn't take Charlie's crazy vampire story seriously and kicks him out. That night, Jerry comes to Charlie's house and complains to his mother about his snooping.
Now, your son is harassing me.
Charlie, what is going on? Listen to me. Whatever he says, he's gonna try to say.
Jane, he broke into my house.
Usually in movies, parents never listen to their kid's crazy story, but I actually applaud Charlie's mother in the remake.
Look, I'd rather not take this to the authorities, but I will. I have no choice. He's sick. He's deluded.
Please.
Go get the authorities.
You go, Mom. You go. However, this is where the movie started to lose me. Not happy with her response, Jerry digs up the gas line in the backyard and blows up the house. In movies, I feel vampires should remain hidden and their actions should be subtle because they don't want the world to know that they exist. You know what draws attention?
Blowing up their damn house!
To be fair, so does murdering a bunch of people at a nightclub.
Our characters escape, but Jerry isn't far behind. This car chase sequence is pretty impressive because it's a long, rotating shot. Our characters appear to be stuck when Chris Sarandon, the original Jerry himself, shows up for a cameo. When all hope seems to be lost, Charlie's mother stabs Jerry with some blatant product placement.
Century 21, how can I help you?
Hi, I'm inquiring about the vampire I saw for sale off of Route 95.
The what?
The vampire I saw for sale. What can you tell me about it?
Wait, you're that weird guy. Listen, I'm going to call the cops if you keep on harassing us.
I love you. After the car chase, they drive Mrs. Brewster to the hospital. The police conveniently don't question Charlie about his blown-up house or why they arrived in a dead guy's mangled car.
Last time I called the cops, they nearly all went to Chili's together.
Chili's, the preferred restaurant of the undead.
Meanwhile, Charlie receives a phone call from Peter Vincent telling him Terminator Salvation was just okay.
Oh, Mom's very religious.
The power of arts and crafts repels you! The power of arts and crafts repels you! At the penthouse, Vincent tells Charlie that Jerry is from a tribal breed of vampire found around the Mediterranean, and has been traveling the country turning people into vampires to increase their numbers.
Fuck.
During their conversation, Vincent receives a late-night package and the delivery boy is none other than...
Hey, Mr. Vincent, package for you.
After 6 minutes of hokey 3D computer-generated effects, Ed is killed off by Charlie.
So are they friends again?
There. You're starting to look like your old self again.
Unfortunately, I feel like Evil Ed was wasted in the remake, which is sad because I think Christopher was a solid choice. In the original, Ed Thompson was still friends with Charlie, although they don't hang out as much due to Amy. Ed got his nickname Evil because of his morbid sense of humor.
Both of them had their heads chopped off. Can you believe it?
You're sick.
Evil Ed is fascinated by the recent murders, but doesn't believe Charlie's vampire story. However, Evil Ed and Amy are worried about Charlie and try to help him.
Hi.
Wow.
In the original, Evil Ed is bitten by Jerry towards the end of the film and has 2 fun encounters with Peter Vincent. The practical effects in these scenes are great, and Evil Ed is probably in my top 5 list for werewolf transformations. Charlie, why is your friend all naked and dead on my floor? The new Evil Ed is barely in the movie and isn't as memorable. You could edit him out and barely notice. In both films, Charlie and Amy lose each other in a nightclub where Amy is seduced and bitten by Jerry. Charlie seeks Peter Vincent's help one last time, but he's scared. Vincent, however, does give Charlie a blessed steak.
You kill your vampire with this, it's supposed to change his victim's back.
What about Evil Ed?
Oh. Maybe he should have mentioned that before he killed his best friend. However, like the original, Peter Vincent overcomes his fear and joins Charlie on his mission. Down in Jerry's basement, some character development is thrown in at the last minute. We find out that Peter Vincent's parents died when he was a kid, and I bet you'll never guess how.
Was it disappointment?
What? No, it was Jerry.
You got your mother's eyes. Your father's aim.
Once again, how convenient.
Jerry then pits Charlie against the locals he turned into vampires, including Amy.
He's inside me now.
Ew.
I'm sure there was a better way to do this, but Charlie lights himself on fire, charges into Jerry, and impales him in the heart. Therefore, Jerry's victims turn back into the shitty people they once were. Except for Evil Ed. Oh. The film ends with Peter Vincent being very generous and letting Charlie and Amy have sex at his penthouse.
Now that's a happy ending.
Oh, you're so cool, Brewster.
Although I like Anton Yelchin, I don't like the new Charlie Brewster. He was a dick to his friends, and I feel like we never got to know the character because he's going through an identity crisis. I feel that isn't resolved in the end just because he got laid. I'm a fan of David Tennant, but overall I don't like the magician version of Peter Vincent. It's hard to root for a character when he's a drunk, horny, cowardly asshole. I prefer Amanda Bierce's version of Amy because her character resembled a former lover of Jerry's and it explained his fascination with her. Sadly, Imogen Poots is only there to be the hot girlfriend. The new Evil Ed is underused, makes up with Charlie in an unfulfilling way, and his death scene doesn't pack the same emotional punch. The original Jerry is a charming, really cool, complex character.
Of course, I could give you something I don't have. Choice.
Jerry in the remake is too much of a bro and doesn't have the dead lover backstory, the shape-shifting abilities, the cool gothic house, or the ghoul for a bodyguard. I think Colin Farrell had the look, but the new Jerry has been stripped down and is very one-dimensional.
At least he knows stuff about carpentry.
In fact, compared to the original characters, the new versions are very underdeveloped and dumbed down. They traded a well-written story and characters for more action and 3D effects. But does this remake deserve the boot? I'll admit that this remake has a lot of fans and isn't as insulting as other remakes, but the original is so much better. It's a fun, campy classic that still holds up. It was a modern vampire movie that also paid homage to the gothic horror movies of the past. I think the remake originally got a positive response in 2011 because Twilight made vampires lame, and it was nice to see a mean-ass vampire that didn't sparkle. It does feel like some effort was made, but looking back, the remake of Fright Night doesn't quite hold up. Let's be honest, when comparing the characters, writing, directing, and special effects, the original wins. Therefore, the remake of Fright Night is getting the boot. Hell, the original even has a cooler poster! This has been Boots to Reboots. Thanks for... Hello?
Ahoy, my good boy.
Dr. Oddcoitus, how the hell did you get out?
Out from where?
From under my stairs.
Andy, have you been taking your medication?
Of course not.
Well, didn't you receive my letter?
I might have skimmed through it.
I retired from the hospital last October. I just got back from a mission trip to Africa where I built schools for children.
You would.
What?
Wait a minute. Then who the hell do I have locked up in my basement? Oh, hard. Oh. Just eat around it.
Don't go anywhere.
You see, Dr. Oddcoitus has a drinking problem.
Do you want to die, Dr. Arthur? You want to watch